back, guys. This is a very exciting topic that I'd like to share with you. So, AirGroup. So we're all excited to see the demo.
Yes.
So, just to quickly go over a few slides and give you an intro of what we do with AirGroup. As we know, MBNS, right, Bonjour-based service discovery and service announcement enables zero configuration networking. You plug in Apple TV into the network. It sends a service announcement out saying, hey, I'm available. If you want to share your screen using AirPlay, you can use my service. Similarly, there are printers that are coming out today with which are AirPrint capable. Okay? So all these devices are coming in with the support for this MBNS-based, Bonjour-based protocols that enables all these new technologies. So what are some of the issues with Apple Bonjour or MBNS-based technologies? Obviously, these are designed for home. When Apple announced this, the Apple TV a few months ago or a year ago, they probably wouldn't have expected it to be such a huge hit in the enterprise and schools and universities and whatnot. Right? People bought it to share content and share the screen, share their iPod, MacBook screen on the TVs. So they bring those devices to the enterprise and they expect it to work the same way it did in their home. But the problem is at home they just have one subnet, one VLAN. Enterprise, obviously, they have multiple subnets based on how big your campus is. The second problem issue that we have with MDNS is all the MDNS multicast announcement that goes out is sent out at the lowest possible rate, depending on which radio you're associated in. And we all know that lowest possible rate takes up a lot of airtime and affects your overall network performance. As you start adding more of these devices in your network, you're going to see a significant drop in your overall network performance and whatnot. And third, these are just plug-and-play devices. It requires some kind of authorization and whatnot. So with AirGroup, what we have basically tried to do is a few things. Right? First is bridge the multiple VLANs, so make MDNS work across VLANs, which is the first step to everything. And the way we do it is by enabling or by adding a MDNS proxy functionality to the controller. Right? In addition to that, what we do is now that we have made MDNS work across multiple VLANs, the next problem is typically in a medium-sized or large campus, you're going to get a huge list of devices, a huge list of Apple TVs and printers that you have to choose and print from. So why does a user have to spend so much time in going over the list of devices that he does not care about? That is the whole idea. And in order to provide that context on what devices do I care about, is that based on what I'm supposed to see? Is this my personal device? Should other users be seeing this device? And am I getting a list based on where I'm located at, proximity? So am I getting the list of printers that are closer to me that I can potentially use? Or just because AirPrint is on the network, am I getting a list of printers that is available on my campus and whatnot? So in order to enable that, we have built in a device user registration portal where a user goes in and logs, and I'll walk you through the entire demo. So the different components that you need on the network obviously are the Aruba access point, the controllers that does the basic MDNS proxy functionality. And the role-based access control framework that we already have on the Aruba controller because of the firewall has been extended to AirGroup also in terms of we can define roles where we can say teachers get access to both AirPlay-based services and AirPrint-based services, but students only get access to AirPrint-based services, basically role-based service filtering. And addition of the ClearPass guest appliance onto the network gives you additional functionality based on context, right? All the personal service registration, shared service registration, and location-based service registration, all these different cool context-based service allowing getting context into the picture. ClearPass provides that. So just to give you a quick example of what this looks like, for example, if Mary brings her own Apple TV and she has her own iPad and her own personal MacBook, right? The Apple TV is her personal device, which means means Mary should be able to go in and tell the network that, hey, this is my personal device, and nobody else should have visibility into that device. It's only me who gets access to that device. If Mary walks into a lab, right, there's a common or a shared Apple TV that everybody can use. Her AirPlay icon should automatically get populated with that common device. She should be able to use that. And lastly, in case she decides she wants to share her resources, for example, she wants to share the printer that's sitting in a dormitory room with her friend who's the next door, she should be able to specify that I want to share this particular service with my buddy of mine. So these are the different aspects that ClearPass adds into the picture that we'll be talking about, and I'll be demoing to you in a few minutes. So again, talking about the shared aspect. So the different components that we talked about are obviously the controller that I mentioned earlier adds the MDNS proxy functionality, and you can also do role-based service filtering. ClearPass Guest adds the personal service self-registration, local service self-registration, and shared device registrations that we talked about. So just to quickly go over the architecture of how this all works together. There are a couple of different things that are happening here, right? So whenever I plug my Apple TV into the network, it's going to send a service announcement out. The controller, which is sitting right in the data path, is going to hear that service announcement. It's going to build a MDNS cache table. It's kind of a state table which maps the particular device, the name of the device, the service that it is capable of supporting, and its IP address. That table sits on the controller. As a user, I can log into my ClearPass Guest portal, which basically throws a registration portal in front of me. And I'll walk you through the registration portal, which looks like, goes like, what is my device? What's the name of the device? What is the MAC address of the device? User registers those devices on ClearPass. When I bring my iPad in, and when I look for available Apple TVs on the network, a query is sent out to the ClearPass platform. And what that does is it looks for the services that I'm authorized to use. And that authorization table, or the state table, is pushed down to the controller. Right? So the controller now has visibility into two different data points. One, what are all the services that are available on the network? And two, what are the services that I'm authorized to use? The controller does the whole process of correlating these two state tables and giving me the list of devices that I'm only authorized to use. That's pretty much the operation in a nutshell. So I've just listed down the versions, basically the software versions that it is supported on going forward. So not spending more time on the slides, let's get on to.
Could you back up one slide?
Yeah.
If you don't have the CP in your system, can the controller still go and pull up that database?
If you don't have ClearPass in the system, what you get is basic MDNS functionality across layer 3 and role-based service filtering. So on the controller, you can define policies that say teachers have access to all services, students don't, and build upon based on your policy. Having CP in the system brings the whole context into the picture. So all the device registration that we just talked about requires the ClearPass appliance. OK, so moving on to the demo. Let's see. Log into my AirGroup controller here. So just to give you a brief walk down of what our network topology today looks like, right? We have a bunch of iPads. We have a bunch of Apple TVs, as you can see here. I have two SSIDs over there. So one is a Aruba.1x SSID. The other one is an Aruba PSK SID. Right? The Aruba .1x SID is where all my users are connected. A typical .1x network you'd see in an enterprise school. User logs on, gets authenticated, and gets onto the network. The .1x SID is on VLAN 30. So the IP address is 172.23.30.140. So all the users connected to the .1x network are on VLAN 30. All my services, Bonjour-based services, are talking with the PSK-based SID. The reason we have it is the devices, the services, peripheral services do not support .1x today. And all these services are on VLAN 20. So to begin with, this is running the right code version, 6.1.5, which enables the whole MDNS proxy functionality on the controller. Right? So this is an out-of-the-box feature which enables MDNS across your entire network, which means this guy who's logged into the network as a teacher, and this is an iPad who's logged into the network as a student.
Has the 6.1.5 version been released yet?
6.1.5 will be released in the first week of October. So the problem that we have solved now is visibility across VLANs, which is what you see here. So the teacher sees a whole list of Apple TVs that are available on the network. Right? And you're going to see the same list. You're going to see the same list on the student here. So to begin with, what we'll start doing is role-based service filtering. So I'm going to go to the controller CLI and basically say, block AirPlay services for all students on the network. Only teachers get access to the service. So I'm going to quickly dissociate the student from the network and get him back on so that he forgets the list of cached services. So the moment I hit that, I added the disallow role, the AirPlay icon on my home screen goes away. So students don't have any visibility into any AirPlay-based services. So this was basic role-based filtering that is supported on the Aruba controller, and this does not require ClearPass into the mix. I'm going to revert that to go forward with the next demo. Okay, so let's bring up the Apple TV here on the network, the display.
So Bala, just to be clear, it's just the MDNS services that are being enabled on the controller, and the other parts of the functionality for AirGroup are actually based on the ClearPass product?
Correct. So basic MDNS, enabling MDNS across VLANs, and the role-based filtering that I just demoed is on the controller, does not require ClearPass.
Show the MDNS cache.
Yep. Yep. Can one of So just to walk you through some of the commands that we have. Sure. So this is the cache table that I talked about that sits on the controller, which is constantly listening to all the available services on the network. What is the service? What is the origin? What's the time to live? What's the state and whatnot? It's going to be a huge list depending on the size of your network. Show AirGroup users. In addition, we separate out the users and the servers. So users are just iPads that are on the network that are not offering a service per se, right? And show AirGroup servers are devices that are broadcasting the availability of some kind of a service. It could be AirPlay, it could be AirPrint or whatnot.
Is that just something that they're picking up from the MDNS broadcast as to what services they're advertising?
Correct. It's
Okay.
just listening all the MDNS broadcasts, and it just stops it right there. Just eats those broadcasts and builds that table.
Mm-hmm.
So the next demo that I want to show you guys is how does personal service registration work. So for that, you require the ClearPass appliance. So let's say, so this guy is logged into the network as student 2, right? And this Apple TV that you see here, it belongs to student 2. That's his personal Apple TV. So he does not want student 3, who's in the room right next to student 2, to have visibility to that device. He wants that device to be only visible to himself. So what he has to do is log into the ClearPass registration portal, which looks something like this. So as a user, he logs into this portal and creates or adds his devices onto the network. And as you can see, some of the different fields that you have to punch in is obviously what's your name. That's your .1x credential you use to log onto your network. Your device name, which could be any random name that you want to call your iPad or your Apple TV. MAC address of the device. And there is also another field which says, do you want to share this Apple TV with a set of other users? Right? So for the sake of this demo,
Could you use like a user group there so a teacher could share it with their classroom rather than individual users?
today we can specify users. You can separate out users, like individual user names, or you can share it with an entire set of users that belong to a certain role, user role. So today we do not do the teacher classroom level.
So if you
plan out
define
yet.
a role for the class,
Yeah.
for example,
That's a role within ClearPass, right? They're not pulling in like a group from Active Directory to populate that list of users.
But that could map from Active Directory the role through our standard Active Directory integration.
Right.
Can a student be a member of multiple roles? When you think about a student, 'cause I see where Keith was going with that, is that if a student, if it's a K through 12 where you have 4 or 5 periods a day and you're going from 4 or 5 different classrooms,
Mhm.
you're going to need access to 4 or 5 different Apple TVs potentially throughout the day. If you have a group that says classroom 10, classroom 20, classroom 30, and you can be a member of all of those, then you can get into the room that you need to.
Or it would make sense to do that in a more context-aware fashion, right? To do with your AP, closest AP, or AP and then one hop APs.
That's part of the demo.
that's location.
Okay.
Sam.
Let's say like that.
Okay, so just to move forward, so just for the sake of this demo, we have pre-registered the Apple TV that's currently connected to the HD TV that you see here. So what this means is student 2 has registered his personal Apple TV, right? The Apple TV is named Michael. So this is student 2's laptop, and he's able to see Michael, which is his personal Apple TV. So oops, sorry. Yeah. But student 3, who's connected to the same network, just on the same SSID, same VLAN, will not have any visible. Come on, stop turning. Okay, student 3 will not be able to see Michael because Michael, the Apple TV is registered as his personal Apple TV.
And we see a lot of use for this in the university environment, the higher education, where you have 20, 30,000 students. The IT department does not want anything to do with controlling these groups. So enabling the end user to set that up is actually a pretty big win in a lot of value. And one of the other things that's been talked about a few times, as we're doing that MDNS optimization, even though we're not only going cross layer to layer 3, we're not sending out those broadcasts to anyone else. Right? So you get a lot of traffic reduction on the wire and the wireless side out of this, which is a big benefit, especially in universities where we've seen 20–30% of the traffic can be MDNS controlled from all the Apple devices.
Okay, so what I've just done now is, as student 2, I've logged into my ClearPass registration portal, and I'm saying I want to share my Apple TV with student 3. So I just punched in student 3's MAC address here. I was supposed to punch in his username. Layer 8 error. Give me 1 second.
That might be username.
So you can share up to 10 different users. So you can share a particular service with up to 10 different users, or also specify I want to share it to everybody belonging to a certain user role, which is something that I'll show you next once this decides to cooperate. Student. Student 3, I'm going to go in and type in his credentials, save changes. This should show up on my CPPM, the entry table, the second state table that I talked about on the controller. So it still has the previous record. Just give it a minute for it to get updated. Okay, so while this is getting updated, why don't I jump to the next part. So the next demo that I want to show you is a combination of 2 other features that we talked about. One is sharing a particular Apple TV amongst all users that belong to a certain user role. That would be the shared user role concept, where you could have an Apple TV in an auditorium or a classroom and basically say this should only be visible to the teachers. Students are not even going to get any visibility into that service, although they're connected to the same AP and whatnot. Right? And we'll combine that with location-based services. Long error. All right. Looks like it has populated. So I'm just going to quickly dissociate student 3, get him onto the network again so that he forgets his cache, looks for new Apple TVs. So if you remember, initially when this guy's registered his Apple TV as a personal device, Michael was not visible to student 3. Now that he is logged in and says configure that he wants to share his device, so Michael is visible. He's able to see the device and is also able to mirror the device. So moving on to the next piece, the shared and the location-based aspect of things. So this was a registration portal that was put in front of a user, right? For a shared or for a common service or for location-based services, there needs to be a registration portal that administrators will have access to, because admins are going to be the ones who will drop an Apple TV in the classroom, and they'll be the ones who will be defining who gets access, who gets visibility into that Apple TV. So in this case, I'll log in as the network admin. And for the sake of this demo, I've pre-registered the printer. It's a teacher's printer. And if you look at the attributes that I have here, it's the same device name, MAC address. The third one is the location. So location, we can do it 3 different ways. One is the name of the AP itself. You can specify the AP that the device is going to be associated to. So in that case, the way AirGroup will restrict the list is devices that are associated to that AP and devices that are associated to the neighboring APs. And the neighboring AP logic is tied to our ARM's logic. So ARM does this channel scanning and builds the neighbor list, the neighboring AP list. So it is tied to that logic. So if there are 3 APs that it can hear in the earshot, then it will be the 3 APs surrounding that particular access point that the service is associated to. The second one is the whole AP group itself. Right? You can say this particular service is visible only to users who are associated to any one of the AP that belongs to this particular group of APs. So in that case, you're pretty much saying you can do it on a building basis, right? Or on a floor or on a building basis. The last one is, it's not mentioned here, but the last one is you can also do it on a fully qualified location name. So APs that belong to a particular floor, depending on what the location name is. Okay.
Is there a way to do this through Airwave with a template of some sort, or is this strictly from the ClearPass console at this point?
Today, it's strictly from
You
ClearPass.
can just say like all of the APs on this floor, push out a template to all
Mhm.
of them, so you don't need to.
Today, it's strictly from ClearPass, but in the future, maybe that would be a good feedback for Peter.
So the fully qualified location name, is that from the controller's name of the APs?
Fully qualified location name today, I believe it's a controller's name, yep.
Okay.
From the controller's perspective of what the AP's names are.
Okay, because I know that was deprecated a little bit with the integration into Airwave,
Mhm.
and then not really being necessary anymore. So that's kind of bringing it back again almost.
Yeah. I mean, I believe it's today it is based on the AP's name.
Okay.
So what I've done here is we have a HP printer here that's AirPrint capable, right? And what I've defined is the AP name that is associated to, which is AP135.2, which means all these iPads who are currently connected to 135.2 will be able to see this guy, right? Ideally, that's how it should work. And in addition to that, I've added another attribute which says this should only be visible to teachers. So another level of filtering, which means the student who is associated with the same AP will not see the printer. Okay. So let's see how that works. So this guy who's already logged into the network as a teacher goes in and opens his notes. He looks for available printers on the network. Print is able to see. Is everyone able to see what I'm doing? On this side. He's able to see the PhotoSmart 6510 series printer. That's AirPrint cable. It's broadcasting its availability and what. Select the printer. Hit print. It probably is going to say printer is low on ink. We forgot to get a new cartridge. Didn't have time stray, but yes. But the point is, it's able to see the printer. It's able to send the document out to print it. Right? OK, so now I take student 1. Oh, let me take this guy, student 3, and open notes. Oh, good. And when I look for available printers, it's looking for printers. Keep in mind, this guy is associated to the same access point, which means based on the location-based attribute that we configured, he should be able to see the printer. But we also have another attribute that says only teachers get access to the printer. So he has no visibility into the printer, although it's connected to the same access point. So that was a combination of common devices, common services or shared services, and location-based services.
Is there a precedent that's top down?
Precedents.
So if you're a teacher but you weren't on that location,
Mm-hmm.
so this is really an and.
It's an and function.
It's an and
Yeah.
function today.
It's gonna be all the, I just talked myself into it.
So that was AirGroup. So any questions, we'll be more than happy to answer them.
Just one other question. So the complete functionality requires both the guest modules and the CPPM parts of ClearPass?
So
Yeah, I can take that. So what we've done, obviously, the user-driven workflow, the registration portals, we wanted to leverage all of the branding aspects of our traditional guest platform. That's obviously in that component. The actual transactional component of it is actually being driven by Radius. So we wanted to leverage, obviously, the scalability of the core ClearPass platform. And the two of them will be the one product, with that
Right.
6.0 release.
Right.
So what you saw in that architecture diagram is obviously what we're doing today. And in the 6.0 release, our customers will have the choice to run them on the same platform. Or what we'll expect to see in a lot of environments is the AAA component of it will still exist in a server VLAN, because that's where it makes sense from a security zone point of view. And the untrusted portal side will probably still sit in the same place that your guest platform would sit.
Okay.
So customers could do it on the same box, or based on best practice, they'll probably split it anyway.
Thank you.